Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're out in the shop and we're getting ready to get started on something we haven't worked on in a little long while. We're getting back onto the old red car here, and I don't know if anybody knows, whether you follow along on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. Car used to be red. Me and all my buddies, Josh at Finishing Lines, Troy from Win Racing, we all call it the red car. Used to be the red car. It's just what it stayed as. But we got some pieces coming in. We got one piece already from Finishing Lines. It's a new piece we're going to install on the car, along with all the previous matching Finishing Lines products. We've pretty much got everything on the car that they have to offer. Also, we've got a LOGO Motorsports front weight plate, 120-pound front weight plate coming. We got one for Josh's Integra as well. So we're gonna get one put on this. We're gonna put one on his car, but that one won't be in this video. And then we also have a mid plate coming, a DP Raceparts mid plate. The mid plate's gonna help for movement or holding back, or how do I say that? The weight plate's gonna help from having any type of movement in the motor. It will fasten to the track bar, and then I've actually got a bar that I've welded underneath of it that actually bolts the motor to the cross member, or the, what do you want? I'm gonna call it, I guess we'll just call it a cross member. But anyways, got those three pieces coming, and let's just get into it. All right, guys, so we got one of our packages in the mail for the Civic, also known as the red car. But yeah, got one of them in. The other one apparently is making its way across the country for whatever reason. This one came from DP Raceparts. Actually got one of their belly pans on the car, and I'm pretty sure there's something else DP on the car. They've got these, and we'll show you what they do. That's all it is. Just a little piece of 1/4 inch steel. But this is a mid plate. What this plate will do is it'll bolt to the transmission like so, which I'm gonna have to move some stuff around. But this will bolt to the transmission, and then it came with this other piece here, and this, if I can break this loose, one-handed, like this, and this piece will weld to the track bar. So you'll have this piece welded to the track bar, and this piece will bolt up here, and then it'll bolt together there, and that will keep the motor from moving back and forth. Granted, I've got this rear bar here that was actually a part of this full race track bar. That was supposed to be like a upper bracket, but obviously with the up pipe you can't put it there. So I repurposed it, put it down here to try and help aid, because you don't want any movement in this thing with this G-force long shifter. Since there's no stabilizer bar, it's just a shift change rod. Basically that has to be still, because if this moves, this doesn't have a rubber mount, bolt to the floor like the stock shift linkage does, so it can't move. There's nowhere for it to go. There's no, vibrations, all that stuff you want at a minimum. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna unbolt this part of the scatter shield and this rear bar, and then we'll try and halfway mock this up, and then I can mark on the track bar where that other piece is gonna go, and then I'll get that all sanded down and ready to tack this piece in place. But yeah, let's get this all loosened up, and we'll start test fitting this. Alright, so that's kind of what it'll lay out like. Still got 2 more bolts to put in. I have a feeling I might have to modify this scatter shield to go around it. This upside here, I think it's gonna be fine. But I may need to notch these holes here to go on the outside of that plate there. Like right there. I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna get a couple more bolts, put a couple more bolts in this. Alright, so since we got the track bar, good golly, since we got the mid plate kind of mocked up in there, hey, now that it's light outside, you can actually see it. You know, we got that plate mocked up in there. I need to weld this, and my welder won't reach all the way over here, so I'm gonna have to take this off, clean all the metal, you know, with a flap disc, which I just went to Ace Hardware up the street, and they had a angle grinder and flap disc on sale, so I bought one of those. Never had one of those flap disc deals, but now I got one, so it'll make, you know, light work of this stuff. And then I've got the old tabs here that I welded on for the belly pan. You can see the little tabs there. That's where this bolts up here. Well, now that we're putting the weight plate on it, we're gonna basically, it's going to be where this is, so I'm going to have to take this off, this old intercooler bracket, that's got to come off as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the intercooler off. I'm probably going to have to pull the radiator out of it to you know, get it to where I can clean everything up. I don't know, maybe I won't have to take the radiator out. We'll see. But I'm gonna end up having to probably borrow somebody's MIG welder. I need to just break down and buy one, but I'm gonna have to like tack this in place, and then I can take it over to the bench and I can TIG it on. And then the same thing, whenever the plate comes, I'll have to MIG it to the track bar, and then I'll take it over. And assuming my welder is big enough, I'll try and TIG it on. If I can't, then I'll just burn it in with a MIG, and then that'll just have to do for now. But I'm gonna go ahead and get the front bumper back off, get the intercooler off, and then get the track arms out from underneath of it, and then pull that track bar off. Oh yeah, that's why I gotta pull the radiator out, because the radiator sits so close next to where the track bar mounts. You can see the bolts up in there. I can't get those bolts out, so yeah, I'll have to pull the radiator out too. But anyways, I'm gonna start ripping this apart, and then we'll start grinding those tabs off the track bar. All right, so we got all the tabs ground off and did a little grind all the way across, because I have a feeling the plate's gonna sit somewhere in the middle of the tube here. And then got the bracket for the mid plate welded on. You would think all the lights I got in this garage, you would be able to see this stuff. But yeah, I got the bracket for the mid plate cut on, or cut in, welded on, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. But I actually notched the back of this a little bit because the radiator kind of sticks over this way, and the tab, I just smacked my head, the tab came out a little bit further and it was hitting the radiator, so I notched that a little bit. You can kind of see right there, but it's all welded in. So now we've got the mid plate job pretty much done. Definitely gonna have to probably paint it up a little bit, make it look a little nicer. Yeah, see, there you go. You can see, got that burning. Still got to get another bolt. I'm missing one bolt for the plate. But yeah, now we'll just have to paint that, make that look a little bit better, and then we'll once we get the plate welded onto this track bar, then we'll go ahead and paint the whole thing. Probably use some like industrial tractor paint or something, and then we'll start working on getting everything mounted to the plate that needs to be mounted to the plate. So as soon as that plate gets here, we'll keep moving forward with it. All right, so I've already run into an issue. So my track bar is a full race track bar, and it has these tow hooks. Well, now the tow hooks are hitting on the plate. The notch on the plate isn't notched far enough, so I'm gonna have to cut those off, or cut the plate for those. I don't know. I'm not real sure how this is going to pan out, actually. But so far, I mean, it's not horrible, but it is obviously a piece for a race car. So, but I mean, it looks cool because now it kind of looks like it's got like a little shelf in there. That'll help direct the air, you know, through the engine rather than like underneath the car, whatever. But anyways, I'm gonna probably pull the bumper off of it so I can try and mark these whereabouts I want to cut them. And then, yeah, I don't know. This might kind of suck. Okay. Realized that obviously not all fiberglass front ends are going to be the same. Obviously this is cut out for the same design as that bumper, but from what I gather, the one he has is a different brand, but it's the same style. But from what I'm seeing is I'm gonna have to have this cut all the way across here. Basically take this chunk of like 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch of the metal out of here, and I was gonna do it with basically an angle grinder and I went to Harbor Freight and bought some cutoff wheels, and I was just gonna tough it out and try and buzz through it. But I've got a buddy that lives here in town that recently bought a plasma table, so I'm actually gonna take this over to him and we're gonna try and cut that out on his plasma table. Hopefully save me a little bit of time and effort, and yeah. So I'm gonna load this up in the back of the truck and we're gonna run it over to him, throw it on his table. I had to measure that for him the other day. He set it up in the CAD deal, so we should be able to just put it on the table and cut out a straight line, and hopefully that'll be it. But anyways, let's get to it. All right, so we got the piece cut. You saw that. I sat and talked to my buddy Josh for a while, and now you can tell it's dark outside. We got a little carried away, and but now I'm back to the shop. I'm gonna get this out of the truck, and we'll see how she fits now that we got this cut out. All right, so now we're gonna try and slide this up to the track bar there and see if our spot here will match a little better, and then we'll throw the bumper on to make sure it clears. All right, so I was editing this video and I don't know what's going on with my camera. Something's up because I keep losing footage, and also I keep getting spots of certain footage where the audio is just trash. I don't really know where to begin. I don't know if it's in the camera or if it's in the software on the computer or what the deal is, but it just is what it is. But anyways, lost a bunch of footage again on the Civic, and here it is. Front end and stuff's back on it because I got the weight plate done, but I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like with the weight plate on it. Kind of show you how I welded it in, and then we've got a couple pieces from Finishing Lines, a new product from him that we're going to put on the Civic anyway, so I'm just going to make this all one big video. All right, so I had to cut the old tow hook, and then I just went ahead and welded it to the top of the plate, and then the plate is welded down the bar on the top side and the bottom. So it's looks pretty good. I got a couple little things I'm gonna do. I put a little black paint on it just to keep it from rusting, but I grinded this down here. I thought I'm gonna add a provision in the front of the bumper to where I can put a little like eyelet and then hook onto, and then if we need to pull the car for any reason, you don't have to pull the bumper off of it. You just put the eyelet in it. Battery's bolted on. I haven't added the circuit breaker to it yet, but for now I'm just going to hook the battery up how it is, and we'll just roll with that for now. But move the solid state relay out of the engine bay, so it cleaned all that up a lot. I would love to get rid of this stock radiator. I think I'm going to try at some point and try and afford like a CSF radiator or something. The CSF is a little cheaper than everybody else's little drag radiators. Everybody wants like $600 for those damn things, and I can't bring myself to do it. But anyways, that's how the weight bar looks. We got the weight bar on now and the mid plate, so the motor should be sturdy. The car is sturdy. I do want to add some kind of support, you know, because the way these plates are set up and with how heavy they are, you've got like another plate that comes with them where you can put a heim joint here and build a bracket off here and a heim joint, and that will just help add some rigidity and strength to the tongue of this or the nose of this, so it's not, you know, putting all that weight on those little bolts that hold that traction bar into the frame rails. But anyways, it looks pretty good. I'm super pumped about it. Makes it look a little more race car, if you ask me. But like I said, we got a new product also that we're putting on the car today from my buddy Josh at Finishing Lines, and I kind of already started putting it in, and I had footage of that, but now we don't. So we're about halfway through it, and we are putting his new, what he calls the HydroLOCK, and it's a provision that bolts onto the side of his staging brake here, and it's basically just a hydraulic lock to kind of have like an e-brake. So like I said, it's just a provision. So if you buy his staging brake, the holes are already in the side of the brake itself, and then you can just buy this add-on here, this HydroLOCK, and just add it to it. But I've got it bolted on. I've got to run the new lines, because before it was just going from the rear lines up to the brake master here. But now we've got a banjo with an AN, and that will loop over to one side of the brake, or the HydroLOCK, and then the other one will run back to the rear lines, and that's what this is. So we're going to install this, get it up in the air, try and bleed these brakes, and that's that. All right, so got the lines kind of finger tight here on the HydroLOCK, and then the line here comes off the side of the lock back into the T for the rear brakes. So now all I gotta do is tighten these up, snug them up, and then don't over tighten them, because you will have a terrible seal if you do that. And then we'll attempt to get this up in the air and see if we can bleed them. I guess I don't have to get it too far up in the air. I just need to get the back wheels off so I can get to the bleeders, and then maybe I can bleed this by myself with the help of the HydroLOCK itself. So that's another thing. Can you bleed the staging brake now if you have the HydroLOCK by yourself? Let's see. All right, so I got all the lines hooked back up, filled the reservoir up with fluid, and this is kind of an unorthodox way to do this, but it seems to work. And my only assumption is because obviously the reservoir is the highest point of this system, so you can actually bleed this, you know, and you may be able to get a little bit more out of it if you do it the conventional way, but you can actually bleed this by yourself without getting out of the car with having this this HydroLOCK. So what you're gonna do is get everything hooked back up, and this was kind of how mine was. Everything was unhooked, and I added this, and didn't lose a lot of fluid, but filled this back up. And basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull this lever back. Well, I got it locked, and I've already done this, so you're gonna kind of miss some of what it was doing, but you can pull this back, and once you pull this back, then you're gonna want to lock the HydroLOCK. So let me see if I can set this camera up here so you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully this will be a good view. It may not be. All right, so yeah, so you're gonna pull this back, lock this, and then let go of it. And from what I gather is you're pressurizing all those lines at this point, and then you can open this up and you'll actually see bubbles come up out of here. And I know everybody's gonna be like, no, it's because you know you got no cap on it and you're putting air in the system and stuff. I literally have not gotten out of the car and taken the wheels off of it. Everything's nice and good. I do have one caliper over here that's kind of sticking, so I need to buy some new calipers for it. But yeah, that one's tight, but it's always been tight, so I need to replace that caliper. But anyways, so now what we'll do is we'll do that again, and I think I did it like 5 or 6 times, and then at that point it was pretty well bled. So pull it back hard as you can, lock it, and now let's see our emergency brake. Nope. Nope. And I didn't even have to pull the bleeders off. I literally just bled it with that HydroLOCK. Like I said, for whatever reason, I think it's because the reservoir is higher than everything else in that system, and you're adding pressure to it and then once you lock it, the bubbles are like basically like pulling themselves up out of the reservoir, if that makes any sense. But locked up, and that's what the staging brake's for. But I mean, I was gonna have to go through this big long process of how to bleed brakes properly, and this is, like I said, entirely unorthodox. It's not how you would, you know, normally bleed brakes, but it actually worked really good. And I don't know if anybody does it that way, but if for some reason you buy the Finishing Lines HydroLOCK, just know that you can bleed that without the help of anyone else. But yeah, I love this stuff. My boy Josh over there, boy, he's got this brake hydraulic stuff on lockdown. But that's that. So that's one of the new Finishing Lines HydroLOCK brake kits for the Finishing Line staging brake, so you can still have somewhat of a emergency brake setup. So that's really nice. But I mean, the kit itself, everything looks really good on it. You know, Josh's products are honestly the best on the market. Nobody's really got anything for Finishing Lines. So, but everything on this car is Finishing Lines. Obviously all the brake lines, staging brake. It does have the Finishing Lines brake plate underneath there, which you can't see it because I run the I like to run a center console because I still think this thing's a street car. And then we did all the turbo feed lines, which you can't see there, but turbo feed lines are all Finishing Lines. The booster delete plate, sport front-wheel drive, the clutch line, all that stuff's Finishing Lines. And then I've had him do a couple like remote mount sensor lines, like that's coolant pressure, you know, and I've got it remote mounted and stuff like that. Brake caliper hoses. This car actually has a one-off Finishing Lines stainless steel hardline kit, like fuel lines underneath of it. Nobody else has that except for me, because I'm special. But let's see if you can see it underneath here. It's got an FCS tank in it, but Josh bent all custom stainless hard lines the whole length of the car. And I tell you what, that is a huge endeavor, and I can't thank him enough for doing all that work for me. But anyways, that's gonna finish up this little session of the Civic upgrades. Like I said, we got the weight plate from LOGO Motorsports. We put the DP Raceparts mid plate in it, which that was really cool. And now the Finishing Lines HydroLOCK to go with all the other Finishing Line products. So don't forget, check them out. Check out the guys at DP, and then check out LOGO Motorsports on Facebook and Instagram. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Keep following along. Hopefully this is going to be the year we get this thing out, and we can see what this thing's capable of. We'll see you on the next one.